speaker, Derek Bobbitt. He is the founder of Coinalytica, a Web3 analytics startup. He's a rising junior at UNH, studying finance, information systems, business analytics. He's also the principal at Ryan's Angel Investment Fund. He's currently the president of the UNH Entrepreneurship Club, where he hopes to foster the next generation of collegiate founders, mentor them through the Shaw Innovation Explorer and the Paul Scholar programs.
Just a second. Wait till we get the slides up. Alright, awesome. Well, thank you all again for coming out tonight. But to start off again, I know I got a little intro there, but my name is Derek Bobbitt. I'm the founder of Coinalytica, basically think Google Analytics for Web3 and crypto companies. I'm principal at the Ryan's Angel Investment Fund and a rising junior here at UNH studying finance, information systems, and business analytics. But why am I here? I've given other talks, and Jack actually asked me to come in because of this, other talks around campus about Web3, blockchain, and different other events around the nation. But I want to make this very clear. I am no expert. I've been involved in this industry for probably 2-3 years now, and it's a really weird industry. It's an industry where everyone takes a multitude of different technologies and innovations and shoves them all under this one multi-million-dollar umbrella term of Web3. You've probably heard of it by now. And it honestly makes sense. If you were a founder in 2021, it meant that you raised a lot of money as hype-driven VCs poured over $30 billion into the Uber of Web3, the Airbnb of Web3. Any tech startup of Web3, it meant you raised a lot of money. But the question still remains, and this is one that a lot of people ask me a lot, what exactly is Web3? It's that umbrella term. But whenever someone asks me that, I like to go back to where the term comes from, the generations of the internet. If you think about Web 1, that was the first generation of the internet. This was the early days where you had this clunky, expensive network that only companies that had a lot of money had access to. And it was the early days of blogs and landing pages, and it had a company kill this. Then we have Web 2. This is where social media really took the stage, the early days of when Facebook really started to get network effects. And this is when we see interoperability, user-generated content, and interaction. Those are all complex stuff. It really just means that I can make a post, I can make a blog, and you can see it, you can comment on it, you can share on it. It all stems from interaction. And this had a community focus. I'm sure you see the pattern from here. Then you have Web 3, and this we call the read, write, own web. And this is when you have blockchain directly integrated into the internet. And it all focuses on being able to prove ownership of digital assets. Everything from a JPEG, which again, there's plenty to talk about there, to your own identity online. And this had an individual focus. So whenever someone asks me that, I like to say that Web3 is all about digital ownership and identity. Now again, we can't talk about Web3 without talking about blockchain. So I'm actually gonna bring up our speaker, Jason and Hannah over here, for a little blockchain example. Now, a blockchain transaction, there are tons of different things that go on. We can talk about mining, we can talk about hashing, but that's all super technical. We don't have enough time to get into that today. And I also don't want to blow your brains out too early. So instead, we're going to talk about the decentralized nature of how it actually works. So Hannah's going to start out with this pencil here. And what we're going to do is, I know it's a speaking event, but I want everyone to take out their phones, or if you have a writing utensil, just like to write down 5 words. I'll give you a quick second to do that. And you're gonna write down something as simple as Hannah gives pencil to Jason, all right? Person A gives assets to person B, all right? So everyone's, looks like everyone's pretty much set up. Being good? Awesome, all right. So when I say initiate transaction, I want everyone to write that down. Hannah gives pencil to Jason, all right? Initiate transaction. All right, she gave him the pencil. Everyone write that down, and then I'll give you a quick second. So, you look like you're done in the back. What'd you write down? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, you helped me out already. All right, Jack, what about you? All right, Jay, what'd you write down? I think that's the first time that's actually worked. So, if all went according to plan, every single one of you in this room will have written down that Hannah gives pencil to Jason. You all have your own copy of a list of transactions. There's only been one transaction so far. That's your ledger. Every single one of you is a node in our little network here. and every single one of you has a copy of that ledger. It's decentralized. So if I ask anyone in this room, they'll all be able to tell me what the valid transaction was. Now, Jason's looking a little suspect. He's, a nefarious character. He says, I didn't get a pencil, I got a $100 bill. Ian, what did Hannah give Jason?
A pencil.
I don't know what kind of pencil is worth $100, but I'm pretty sure that's not the same transaction. Daisy, what did Hannah give Jason?
A pencil.
So even if Jason was saying, he's another node in our network here, that I actually got a $100 bill, every single other point or person in our room here would see that as an invalid transaction. It wouldn't go through. So that's just to show the decentralized nature. Even if there's one bad actor, the rest of our community here, building communities online, we can keep the opportunities for fraud very low. So on a very, very high level, you all just became a little blockchain network in here. All right, you guys are good. Thank you very much. But we're going to keep going. So a common rebuke whenever I talk about blockchain is that it's useless. It's not actually solving anything. It's just a funny technology that someone's like, ooh, databases, we can do that a little bit better. So let's start with some real world use cases. The first one is the most obvious. It revolutionizes how we send money across the world. Current banking systems are private and centralized, which means that value gets created indirectly, slowly, and with a high opportunity for fraud. When we have our own little network here, every other person can say it's an invalid transaction, but if there's only one person who has that ledger, that's a just quick little add a zero to that, and you can have a high opportunity for fraud. Now, distributed ledger technology can change this. DLT, I know another acronym. DLT, distributed ledger technology, is just the technical term for a blockchain. So if someone's ever talking about distributed ledger technology, just know it's a blockchain. Now let's get to our first example. A US business wants to send a European business $100 million. So you send the money and the bank sends it out a day later. Over the next 3 weeks, that money gets touched by 3 different banks. And sometimes it doesn't hit the next bank and it's waiting for you to rescue it somehow. Not to mention, you're going to be paying 1% in foreign exchange fees, and just to rub a little salt in the wound, a $50 wire transfer fee. Which, for $100 million, it's not a crazy amount, but when you think about smaller businesses and smaller invoices, that can actually be a lot. Let's take another example. Let's say you're living paycheck to paycheck and you get an overdraft fee. Turns out, your paycheck won't actually land until the next business day, and your credit card company batched together your entire month's worth of expenses and deducted them from your account, and your landlord finally got around to cashing that check from 2 weeks ago. All in all your deposits are pending, and your withdrawals all just hit. Now, these are some interesting examples, some everyday examples, but what I'm trying to get at is that payments are a pain. Now, let's replace all of these with probably a similar template that it's pretty familiar to you guys now. Person A creates and has a wallet. Person B creates and has a wallet. Person A sends assets to person B. Hannah sends pencil to Jason. All right? Now, if you're familiar with crypto, you know FTX. It's a big exchange around the world, and you know Sam Bankman-Fried, who's the founder and CEO. He actually put this into practice with an example I'm going to cover today. So he started out by making person A's wallet. We're going to call him Bob. And then he made person B's wallet, Alice, and gave it nothing. Bob's wallet, he gave $99.75, and a little bit of Solana, like a marginal amount, not even worth a cent. Then he wanted to send $50 between them. These are the timestamps. He clicked send at the first time, and less than a fraction of a second later, tabbed over to the second window to Alice's account, and the $50 had already landed. I think that's a lot better than a week, and especially when you think about how each of those wallets was halfway around the world. Not to mention, I know it's crypto. Gas fees are insane. That's the fee he paid. Or more accurately, 2% of a penny. So in a world where we have democratized finance through blockchain, it's one where anyone can create and send a wallet, anyone has access to financial products. It takes seconds to process, costs fractions of a penny, and can be finalized in less than a minute on average. No long wait, no account balance uncertainty, so forget that overdraft fee when your deposits are pending. This is what we call the world of DeFi, or decentralized finance. And it's one where if we do make this as a global movement, no exchange fees, no financial fraud, there'll be democratized access globally to financial products, and just the fact that we can send global cross-border financial payments, I can send money to my friend in Japan right now instantly, with no brokers and no intermediaries, just me and the recipient. Now, I want to make this very clear though. Blockchain does not equal cryptocurrency. It's revolutionizing all sorts of other industries that I'm going to cover today. If you know it, fair trade. It's very important. It basically ensures that all stakeholders in the process of consumer product gets paid a fair sum and treated fairly. Everyone from the farmer who's harvesting the cocoa to the factory worker who's actually wrapping the chocolate bar before they send it to the person who sells it to you. How do we actually ensure that every single company that has a fair trade sticker on their product is actually participating in fair trade? There's no way for your average consumer. We're just trusting companies, which has actually led to a lot of lawsuits. But in the future with blockchain, that public ledger system, you won't have to even trust or doubt a company is actually telling the truth because you can actually clearly see it. From point of origin, the harvester, to point of sale, when they're selling at the retail, how much they got paid, what they were paid for, and if they're treated fairly. Let's take another one. You want to know where your well-meaning donations are going to? Again, point of origin, when you actually give a charity some money, and we can track that down to the final recipient using blockchains. Another one, NFT ticketing. I think this is going to be a huge industry that's going to see a lot of disruption over the next 5 years, which I'll get to in a minute. But let's say you bought tickets for a Red Sox game and you can't go anymore. The current solution is I go on Snapchat or Instagram and beg someone to buy it from me. But good luck with that, as I actually saw recently in a personal situation where I was trying to buy a ticket, that they bought it early for a much higher price, and now the ticketing company is selling them for half the price and better seats. So you're most likely not going to be able to sell your ticket. Now, using blockchain, that ticket is in itself a distributable asset. I can put it on a secondary market or a platform or a marketplace where it can be sold to anyone else and transferred easily. Not to mention, with royalty fees, the ticketing companies can actually make a lot of money. Because they can say, whenever this is sold, I get 2% of the profits, which opens up a whole new revenue stream. But it goes even farther. At the end of the day, all the examples I just gave you are digital assets, payments, and transfers. We can talk about intellectual property, social media, movies, media, and even construction contracting, which was a really interesting company I got to advise on last month. We can expand Web3 even further though. We can talk about how we're changing how we make organizations using DAOs, or decentralized autonomous organizations. We can talk about buying digital land in the metaverse, and even how we're redefining our own digital identities online using NFTs. But again, I have 15 minutes, not multiple hours. So I thought I'd make it quick by just talking about my 5-year predictions. The first one's a bankless world. Now this is not for the US, this is for emerging economies because the US is so integrated into the banking financial system, it'll take forever for us to get out of that cycle. But if you take a look at countries in Africa or Latin America, they're following a similar pattern to what we've currently seen in Indonesia and Malaysia. Basically, there's people who had no access to financial capital, no banks. They get a mobile phone, have internet access, and can now send money to their friend just using the blockchain. They're skipping the whole banking, years and centuries we've built in the banking financial sector. They're catching up to us in finance by skipping that and just having access to a phone, no intermediaries, and skipping all those fees that we spent centuries dealing with. Also gaming. If you're familiar with the industry, free-to-play or F2P as you may know it, took actually forever to take hold. It was initially not accepted by gamers, but now it dominates the App Store, and I think it's going to be the exact same for blockchain gaming. I've seen some really great AAA rated games in development that are developed out in San Francisco, but I think the key is for game developers to remember the first thing about making a great video game or a great game is about making a fun game. It's not about monetization, it's not about tokenization, which have been the biggest issue in play to earn or other models that are out there right now, is they focused on making money and not actually making a great game in the first place. Third one, speaking of tokenization, we're going to move past the days of weird-looking apes and CryptoPunks online, which seems to be the biggest issue online, because it's more than profile pictures. We've seen houses and hotel stays sold as NFTs, and I think once people realize that it's way more than just a profile picture, we're going to see a lot of innovation there. Now, again, ticketing, I think this is going to be the first industry to really see this disruption happen, because the benefits are just too good for the companies to pass up. Also, user experience. You won't know you're using a blockchain app in 5 years. Right now, you have to use MetaMask, you have to sign the contract, write in the address. It's a pain in the neck. But do we know how we send emails? No, we just open a Google account in 30 seconds, input, or I would say upload all of our contacts, so we type in the name of the person we want to send an email to, and it generates their email for us. We don't even need to know how the technology works. I think it's going to be a very similar thing for blockchain, and that's what's going to lead to widespread Web3 adoption. And then the final one, this one I'm actually most excited about, Web3 is going mobile. We've seen notices about Solana phone coming out. We now see just dApps or decentralized applications being released on their own operating system with Ethereum OS. And this is going to be huge for the industry because we're no longer going to be reliant on Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, or Apple. We're not going to be reliant on big tech companies, which honestly keep it so we're not as decentralized as we hope to be. Now, I hope I made blockchain a little less scary, make a little more sense, but again, if you want me to go a little more in depth, if you want to speak to me after, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active. And if you're interested to learn more about Coinalytica, Google Analytics, and nice little venture fund we're working on right now, please email me. I have a personal professional email. But thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Derek. So we're going to take a 10-minute bathroom food break. We have D-Hop and Hop and Grind in the back, so please help yourself. And we're going to come back for our last two speakers in 10 minutes.
Cool. Thank you.